This is the Shed Show, where less really is more. I'm Melissa, a small-town esthetician in my 40s, and I'm here to share Skinimalist beauty tips and real talk on life, confidence, and everything in between.
Welcome to the Shed Show. I am coming to you from a completely different area of the Shed Spa this week. And as I take you on a tour really quick, you're going to understand why this week's episode's a little bit shorter than the normal. So you'll get to see everything that we've gotten done in this last week. You are going to be blown away, okay? All right, here we are. We're at the Shed Spa. Here's my cute little welcome mat. Oh my gosh. Okay, here we go. So for starters, we're still working on some stuff. So this cabinet used to sit on the front porch, and it belonged to my mother-in-law, my late mother-in-law and father-in-law. It is going to be the retail cabinet for the Shed Spa. But as you can see, it'll be used for some other storage and everything as well. And here's my little tool kit, because we're still working on stuff. But here is our little window. And I don't know if it's obvious by the vibe, but we're going for a Gilmore Girls vibe, if that makes sense. Now, here is our little check-in stand. We're going to have this draped with fabric eventually, but do we love these little caramels I put out for my guests? I'm so excited to welcome in my first guests, hopefully next week, and then a little spot for me back there. Again, the barn door area here is another work in progress. We're going to be working on leveling that and getting it hung correctly and nice and straight. That'll be our task for today. Now, as we enter into the treatment area, I've got some artwork that I'm working on for right here. And then this area right here will be where the guests will come in. They can put down their belongings. Of course, this will all be cleared out, but this will be where they can sit to put their shoes back on, get ready to go out. But this is the little welcome area to bring you in. And then this area here is the mirror area where they can take a look at their spray tan, make sure everything looks good. And so this is another area as they exit out. So we'll probably have maybe some shelves or something over here. I'm not quite sure exactly what I'm going to do with that just yet, but it'll be you'll get to see the full reveal later. And the treatment room. So this area, of course, right now I've got set up for filming, but this area houses my towels and washcloths and things of that nature. The TV will eventually go on the ceiling. And here's our little hot water heater. Some of my modalities are stacked up top. My steamer and my magnifier, my lashing lamp. From this angle behind those doors is the breaker box panel. Some of my facial back bar products. Everything has to be labeled for state inspector to take a look. And then I've got my plant hanging over here and some of my textbooks. A lot of this stuff I'm going to clean up later, of course. Now, I love these little shelves that my friend Brenda got for me. And then this is going to be the facial table. I've got it set up as my music stand today, but that will go away so that all of my facial goodies can sit there as I work on a client from my chair. But my hot towel cabinet, my autoclave, my LED light therapy, some cleaning products, and then, of course, my salt lamps, which I absolutely adore. Here's another window with a cutie little plant there. And I've actually got one more shelf that I don't know what I'm going to do with just yet. But yeah, this is the view from where we are filming today. Bathroom is through that door. All right, the bathroom is right this way. So I haven't got my mirror hung up just yet, but ultimately that is the high power ventilation fan that will pull all of those spray tan fumes out. This is my utility sink. And then I've got a little area right over here that houses all of my cleaning products. And then this will be where we do spray tans. So that I chose a dark backdrop so that we could just hose that off when we are finished. And of course, commode and my little table from my friend Shelly. This thing is super cool. It's actually got a charging port for USB and a plug-in. So yeah, I've got the no cell phone sign, but you can certainly charge your phone while you're getting a facial. But yeah, There's the bathroom. All right, what do y'all think? Do we love it? I'm absolutely obsessed. I'm so happy. Everything has came together just the way that I'd hoped. I've been very pleased with the progress just made in the last week. So I'm feeling it, y'all. I'm ready to hit the ground running. We just wait now for the inspection and get the green light to start seeing clients here at the Shed Spa. Y'all, I totally forgot to mic up. I hope that intro wasn't horrific. I'm pretty sure it's fine. But I like the mic. It gives me something to hold, it gives you something to look at, and it just makes me feel a little more important, a little more Oprah, if that makes sense. I hope y'all enjoyed that tour of the Shed Spa. The plan is to get the inspection hopefully on Monday. That's the day I requested. Get the inspection, and then we're going to hit it running. I would love to have like a grand opening type of a situation. Wow, my hair is really doing some crazy stuff today. Sorry about that. I have so many really cool ideas for the Shed Spa. And it's one of those things that if you see me out and you ask me about the Shed Spa, I'm going to hold you hostage for about 30 minutes while I unload the complete dream onto you. So I apologize if y'all see me out and I can't stop talking about it because it's so, every little thing about it has significance. Everything is important. Everything has intention behind it. For example, when I open officially, I want to offer my grandmother's homemade hot biscuits with some honey and butter available for my morning clients, and then in the afternoon I haven't decided yet. I'm thinking maybe fruit and things of that nature, just to kind of have on hand in case you come to me hungry. You can nibble a little bit while you're here, and you'll get that down home Southern charm element to it. A lot of the dream and a lot of the vision that I have for the Shed Spa is almost like a miniature blackberry farm. They are very high end, very upscale. I'm a little more laid back, but I love their element of adding that what they harvest there on the property and putting it into the actual treatments. And so that's kind of the way that I'm thinking. Now, I said everything that I do has intention. Well, my Mamaw Pearl made the most incredible biscuits, and they were made of three ingredients. They were simple, they were delicious, and you couldn't stop eating them. So I'm going to bring that to the Shed Spa. And she's the reason why I wear pearl earrings. They're kind of my go-to because her name was Pearl. I loved her so much. Even today, I still utilize things that she taught me while she was alive. And I cannot not bring her with me into the Shed Spa. She's a part of me. So therefore, I'm going to kind of bring her along the ride with me. Now, longer term goals, I would love to have a fully operational beehive, apothecary, apiary, kind of like I want to have like a full on herb garden outside. We're moving into cold weather here in East Tennessee. So that is not something I'm going to start right now. I'm probably going to really kick that into high gear in spring of 2026. We'll have a full herb garden along with some different things that we can dry, like lavender, lilac, things that we can incorporate into our treatments that will make it a little more interesting. Now, another thing that you will notice around the Shed Spa are little nods to Gilmore Girls, because that show, I absolutely adore the Gilmore Girls. And any opportunity that I can use a quote from the Gilmore Girls or use some funny little saying, I absolutely love that. And so hopefully you all will appreciate that as much as I do. Now, all this talk about opening is actually leading into the other topic that I want to talk about as well. I'm very excited about the opening of the Shed Spa and the future of the Shed Spa. But at the end of the day, my calling and my purpose, I believe, is to lead people to Jesus. And I believe that because he's made such a difference in my life that I can't help but share about him with other people. I definitely kept hearing the word opening over and over in my spirit when I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about this week. And it made me go to, there's a really cool tool on the internet that if you type in, what does the Bible say about blank? And I did that about the word opening, and this scripture came to into the list. It's Mark 11:23, and it says, I tell you the truth, you can say to this mountain, may you be lifted up and thrown into the sea, and it will happen. But you must really believe it will happen and have no doubt in your heart. The reason why this verse was so significant for me is because I have a firsthand knowledge about opening my mouth and saying um, what I need to say. So, for example, it's become, I'm like hyper aware now. When I hear someone saying something negative, it's almost like it's checked immediately in my spirit, and I have to stop whoever it is and say, no, no, don't say that over yourself. You need to speak positive. You need to speak life. You need to speak to your situation. And so it's one of those things that I have personally learned firsthand very recently, the power of my words. Now, one of the reasons why the importance of words has become so significant to me recently is because while I was going to school to become an esthetician, I took a fall on my back porch and I kind of ran into the back deck stair, and it put a really bad bruise on my leg. And it was so bad that I was pretty sure I had hurt something really bad. And I was actually going and being seen by a doctor about it, and they referred me to another doctor to take a look at it because it the way that the pattern in which it was looking, and it was looking very red, and they were concerned that I had cellulitis and that there was maybe infection in there. So my doctor sent me to go see a specialist at wound care, and so they actually do surgical procedures and everything there. Well, while I was waiting for that appointment, we just happened to be having a what we call our freedom retreat at a church called Home, the church that I attend. And my dear friend Judy was in the altar area, and I went up to her and asked her for prayer because I really was worried about what was going on. As we get older, our circulation isn't as good, the blood flow is not as great, so the healing is slower. And so it really bothered me, and it worried me as far as what was going on. And so Miss Judy took me in the altar and she began to speak to infection. She said, Father, I speak to infection and I tell it has to leave in Jesus' name. And, as she was laying hands on me, and I was like, after that was all over with, I was like, I felt better. I was like, okay, everything's going to be fine. So after that, we went to the specialist to have him take a look at it. And he took a look. He literally had to like cut the injury open, and he said, there's no infection. He said, I'm honestly really surprised. He goes, but you do have a hematoma here. So the moral of that story is Miss Judy didn't speak to the hematoma. She didn't know that there was a hematoma there, but she did speak to infection and they didn't find any. So I was like, for whatever reason, I'd heard this taught my whole life about speaking to the mountain, as Jesus said. But for the first time, I saw it play out in real time how important what we say is. So that changed my entire perspective about the words that I say. In Matthew chapter 12, starting at verse 34, Jesus is speaking to the Pharisees and the teachers of religious law. And he says, you brood of snakes, how could evil men like you speak what is good and right? For whatever is in your heart determines what you say. A good person produces good things from the treasury of a good heart, and an evil person produces evil things from the treasury of an evil heart. And I tell you this, you must give an account on judgment day for every idle word you speak. The words you say will either acquit you or condemn you. Jesus is pretty forthright there. There's not a whole lot of explanation needed there, but I personally use the Bible as the governing authority in my life. Now, if you feel like, you know what, Melissa, that all that Bible stuff is not me, it's not what I talk, that's not what I refer to, that's not what I live by. Well, then let me read to you just one little quote from a study, and I'll tell you the website on it as well. It says scientific studies actually show that positive and negative words not only affect us on a deep psychological level, but they have a significant impact on the outcome of our lives. Ultimately, negative words, whether spoken, heard, or thought, not only cause situational stress, but also contribute to long term anxiety. Now, I understand that most people love scientific studies and research, and I can definitely appreciate that. But let's be honest, they're just parroting what Jesus said 2,000 years ago. So, in my opinion, if Jesus was talking about it 2,000 years ago, I'm going to go to that original text and kind of go by that. Because to me, if we're still saying, repeating truths from the Bible, just calling it scientific research, then that tells me that there is some merit to what Jesus was saying all those years ago. But I've still got some work to do today before we can call it a day. And I hope that you got something from this. I hope that you understand how powerful your words are, and I hope that you'll start thinking about it and allowing the Holy Spirit, or if you don't think about it in that term, think about it in the terms of just yourself reminding yourself to, okay, I shouldn't be saying that. Like, for example, when you say things like, wow, I'm so stupid. Well, when you say that, I believe personally that you will bring it into existence, like you will bring it about. That's the way Jesus taught us. And so when you say those types of things over and over, while I understand where you're coming from, you don't want people to think that you are crazy or you actually are stupid. So we kind of joke about it, right? But the reality is, there is so much power in your words. And Jesus also taught that out of the abundance of our heart, the mouth speaks. So when we start to speak, let's make sure we're speaking things that are life giving, that are edifying, and that build people up, including ourselves, not tearing down. So I hope that you got something out of this. I hope you have a great week. I love you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.